when I ran away, so at a very young age. But in order to get out early, they told me I needed to get my high school diploma, get my college degree, become a mentor, do all these things. So I knew that was my goal because I wanted to get out early, which was the big goal. And it took me many years to make those accomplishments, but I did, and I got out 3 years early. And also all this time I've been out is like time that I worked for, but it's also like time that I didn't even ever think I would get. And so, yeah, I've been out that long, and you know, and for me, it's like every day is a blessing. So I take full advantage of it.
What it is, Brad Lee back again with another episode of Dropping Bombs. Today in the studio, folks, as always, I got a real treat for you. Carlos Vasquez is in the house. What's up, Carlos?
What's up, man? Thank you for having me.
About time.
I know, right?
So I met Carlos one time walking out of another podcast. He was on the podcast. We exchanged information. I'm like, dude, get on my podcast. That's some deep shit we can talk about.
Yeah.
You've listened to Dropping Bombs?
Yeah.
So Dropping Bombs is basically, you know, talking about problems and situations that listeners can perhaps get something from and avoid having pain and suffering, or, you know, start getting richer and richer. Either one. You know, it's just bombs. We're just dropping bombs. So you've probably got a million of them. At 13, you were, you know, a runaway, right? From a toxic home. Why was it toxic?
Yeah. So at 13, my dad left. You know, he created another family in secrecy. My dad left at 13. Created another family in secrecy. And, you know, my mother found out, and she went into a depression, was forced to take on multiple jobs to provide for me and my sister, who shortly after had
Dad bounced?
Yeah, Dad bounced. And sister got pregnant shortly after that. And so my sister and my mother fighting every day like cats and dogs.
Because your sister's pregnant?
Well, because they were blaming each other for why my father left. And it wasn't their fault, you know, because there was nobody else to blame and nowhere else for them to.
No, it's because your dad didn't learn responsibility by that time.
Right. And so, you know, I ran away, you know, like a scene in a movie, just packed my bag and left and ran into the streets.
Did everybody try to freak out and try to find you, or no?
Yeah. So they started to look for me and search for me, and they knew.
See, if I ran away, no one would search for me.
Yeah,
that would have been the difference.
Even at 13?
I'm probably exaggerating. Yeah, 13 they probably wouldn't look for me, but at 16 they didn't look for me.
Yeah, so I ran away, and then ultimately my mother knew where I was at. It was in a really bad neighborhood, but you know, nobody went and got me back.
Who were you staying with?
So I was staying with my mother at first, but then when I ran away, I went to stay with my friend and literally lived in his car in the back of his apartment complex. It was an old beat up Z. I used to sleep in there, 13, and every now
Were you scared?
At first, yeah.
I mean, 13 years old, dude, that's still kind of young, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like that's still, you still scared. Like you're out in the middle of the night in the cold world.
Yeah, I was scared, man. But then it got to a point where, you know, I really didn't care about dying. And once it got to that point, I stopped being afraid. So.
What made you do that?
Well, you know, after a while, you know, getting around all these negative influences, because that's who embraced me when I ran away into the streets, you know, the gang. And I became a gang member at 14 shortly after I had ran away.
Did you get jumped in?
Yeah, I jumped in.
Dude, is that like where they just all straight whoop you?
Yeah, for 4 minutes.
See, I don't get it. Why is that they just want to see if you can take an ass whooping?
Yeah. That's what it is. It's basically to see if you have the heart to take an ass whooping, to fight 4 or 5 people for 4 minutes and be able to withstand that and not run and not, you know, back down from that. It's like an initiation into manhood almost in that lifestyle. Yeah.
Jumped in. It's called jumped in?
Yeah.
So you know, if anyone was in the gang, they got jumped in.
Yeah, or put on.
What's put on?
Same thing. Put on, jumped in, initiated. But it's just not about
And you were 14?
Yeah, I was 14.
How tall were you?
Man, I was a little, I was like 5'2" maybe.
Yeah, so you weren't a big dude.
And I was big, skinny.
There had to be big dudes in the gang already.
Yeah.
And the big dudes beat you up.
Yeah, so mainly the older, you know, guys from the gang, they were young as well, but not as young as me and bigger than me. So.
What was that gang called?
It's called the Islands Piru Gang. Yeah.
Was it part of like, you know, some sort of Major gang.
Yeah, it's a major gang, and well, it's all over the world now, but it's in
What that is? I've never heard of
predominantly in
that.
Los
Say it again.
Angeles. Pyru gang.
Pyru.
Yeah, Pyru.
I've never been exposed to a bunch of gangs. All I've heard is the Bloods and the Crips.
Well, it's a
like
branch
the
from the
Serenos
Bloods.
13.
Yeah, it's a branch off of the Bloods.
And the Mexican Mafia.
Yeah, yeah.
Like those are to me, or like, believe it or not, bikers. What about bikers?
Those are gangs too. Yeah.
Did you ever run into bikers?
In prison, yeah.
I wonder what the toughest gangs were. Like a bottom line.
It's hard to say because everybody would think they're the toughest, but I think that
When you went to prison, who ran shit?
Yeah. Well, in prison, pretty much, the Mexican mafia runs everything. And, that's not a mystery.
Why do you think that is? Because there's so many?
Yeah, because there's so many, and then they have the control, and they have the numbers, and they have they're organized.
So when you go to prison, if they say do something, what do?
Well, it just, you're in prison, there's a chain of command. So like no matter what card you're from, which is basically like group, if somebody tells you to do something, you do it. And when I first went into prison, that's basically what happened. But I went into prison looking for trouble because I didn't want to be told what to do. I wanted to be the one to just go in and get it out the way, earn my bones, and then eventually become the person that tells people what to do, which is ultimately what happened after about a decade in.
You wanted to be a shot caller. A decade in, how long were you in prison?
Yeah, I was in prison for 17 years.
Shit, dude, that's like a freaking lifetime.
Yeah. I went in when I was 19 years old.
Which one?
So I've been all over the state of California prisons.
Lompoc?
No, been to Corcoran, been to...
Was it state or federal?
Yeah, state.
You almost wish it was federal, huh?
Yeah, for sure.
Federal's easier. People are like, why would you wish it was federal? Because federal's easier than state.
Yeah, federal is a lot easier than state, especially in California with all the gangs. And back when I went in, it was pretty tough.
So did you get your ass whooped in prison too?
Yeah, I got multiple occasions, but that comes with it. And especially going in a little, skinny dude who was thought he was the shit and wasn't afraid to die, and went in there, looking to get into something because I felt that was how you survive in there. It's like, you have to do something. And so, yeah.
So dude, it's ultimately 13 years old. You get, you run away, you're staying in a car. Okay. You became a gang member, which obviously everybody knows just from, movies, what that looks like. Fighting, illegal shit, probably drug dealing. What else were you doing?
Yeah, so I started doing all that illegal shit, started selling drugs, doing home invasion robberies. Home
invasions, damn.
Yeah.
See, dude, listen. To me, obviously, you're reformed now.
Yeah.
At least I would hope.
Yeah, for sure.
I hope I don't have a home invader on my show.
No.
But home invasions,
yeah.
This is why I tell everybody, listen, own a gun.
Right.
Own a gun and be prepared. Why? Because if someone were to invade your home like you guys did, you invaded people's homes. What'd that feel like, dude?
Yeah, it's crazy because
Did you ever feel bad for the people?
Yeah, I do now that I've changed. But back then I was so callous, I didn't care. But the people that I were home invading were like drug dealers, and not to minimize it because they're still people, but the people I were invading were drug dealers, other people that were in illegal activities.
Were you just trying to steal their drugs?
Yeah, drugs, money.
Well, that's not home invasion. That's more like a fucking robbery. Just happens to be at their house.
Yeah, they happen to be in there most of the time. So
did you have to use guns?
Yeah.
Did you have to pull the trigger?
No, I haven't. Yeah. I haven't pulled the trigger. Luckily, because I wouldn't be sitting here with you today.
Why not?
Because I probably would still be in prison.
Dude, I know people that have committed, and I don't know people, but I know of people.
Yeah.
They commit murder and they're out in 8 years.
Yeah, they're pretty lucky or something.
I wonder what it feels like to actually. I'm assuming if I were to kill somebody, their face would stick with me over and over and over and over. And when it comes to invading someone's home, their faces would stick with me. Can you still see their scared? Or no, they were drug dealers. Were they scared and terrified? I'm picturing an old lady, you knock on the door and invade their home.
No.
But still, drug dealers had to have been scared too. Were you busting in there with guns and shit? Was there a bunch of you?
Yeah, so it was a team of us that used to do it. And, even back then, as callous as I was, there's an unwritten code of, old ladies and stuff like that. I would never do those things. Not to say I didn't know people that did, but I didn't. But yeah, you still, you you instill fear in somebody that may never go away. They still may suffer from that today. And I know, like, witnessing murder myself and seeing my best friend kill himself, that never goes away.
You saw that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you see that all the time in your head.
Yeah. I saw that for, many, many years, and had PTSD, couldn't sleep at night. And, that's what ultimately, when I was in solitary, that's what led me to want to commit suicide, is because of all that just hit me at once. And so, yeah, until you're able to, take control of your mindset and really, like, get control of your life, those things control you, and that can ultimately lead you to becoming more violent, get into depression, all the bad things that come with that. So for many years I had that, and that's the only way to deal with that was to be violent in prison, which is, what I did for the first, 13 years in.
Well, I mean, you somehow turned it around. What caused the big turnaround?
Yeah. So
did you find God?
Well, I mean, I would say that I reconnected. And what I mean by that is I was in solitary confinement, and I was doing 3 years back there in solitary confinement. And, like I said, I was planning my suicide. I wanted to end my life because everything hit me at once. All the guilt, all the things that I did, all the people that I hurt, like you mentioned, all the faces, all that became too overwhelming. So I made a decision to end my life. And it's not easy to even end your life in a place like solitary confinement because there's really no way to do it. And so you have to plan that. And so in the process of me planning that and getting ready to do it, I was in there, and a chaplain came to my cell, and he called me over, and he spoke to me, and he challenged me to figure out what my purpose was and to keep going. And he slid me a Bible, and it was through his interaction with me, that I was able to get through one more day. And it was the challenge that kept me going. It wasn't even like, me trying to figure out like what my purpose was at first. It was the challenge. Like, I'm not going to lose this challenge, because I was very egocentric. I was like, I'm not going to let anybody, I don't want him to know that I gave up. So it was the challenge that got me initiated the change. And from there, I started to just study and read, and spent the last few years back there, transforming my mindset, getting ready to go out back in the general population.
Through reading?
Yeah, through reading, studying.
How many hours a day were you doing that?
Like, I would get up in the morning, work out, and then the rest of the day I would be reading, studying, and writing, like all the way till I go to sleep, because there's nothing else to do.
How much more intelligent of a human being are you from doing that?
Oh man, I mean, that's, literally what helped me transform my life and get to where I'm at to now. And then being able to get out of solitary after doing all that studying and pass that on to the other men that were inside, mostly lifers, and help them initiate the transformation in their life. So for me,
lifers, dude, I'd probably go the route you were talking about.
Yeah. So
like, I don't know if I'd want to spend a life in prison. Like, I don't know if that, I think if someone said, Brad, you are literally going to spend your life in prison, and then you're going to die in there.
Yeah.
Or we can just crack you right now and call it good. I'd probably take that one.
Yeah.
Like, to me, prison is the worst of the worst of the worst.
Yeah, it is. It is.
But once you're in there, it's not that bad. But at the end of the day, you picture it 10 times worse than it actually is.
Well, because I believe we adapt. Like, we're like survivors by nature. Like, no matter what you think you can't do, if they took you and threw you in prison today, you would figure a way to survive. Just because it's your innate ability to do that, to adjust your life to where you have. Because so many people in there were like you, just regular people who went in there, made a mistake, maybe killed somebody in a car accident, and they're doing life or many years, and then you adapt. And I've seen that, and it's hard for them because they don't have the protection of gangs, but they make it through. And a lot of them are out now. I think that, we really don't know how strong we truly are until we go through something really, really tough in life. And that's what it did for me. And so now out here, what people may perceive as hard, for me is really easy, because I've been through the hardest thing in my life, and everything else to me is just like, even the challenges today are a gift. That's how I look at it.
Well, dude, like, now things must go well for you, right?
Right.
Yeah. You're not still in this turmoil and bad neighborhoods and gang wars. You're far from that, correct?
Right. Yeah. No. Yeah. I got out 21 months ago.
That's it?
Yeah.
Like, dude, it seems like freaking, about 100 years by the way you're talking. Shit, 21 months ago, I've been drunk longer than that. You're just getting out.
Yeah. Just got out. Did 17 years total. Got out early. So technically I wasn't supposed to get out till 2024. So, and I earned that extra years by putting in the work. I went in, I dropped out of school when I ran away. So at a very young age, but in order to get out early, they told me I needed to get my high school diploma, get my college degree, become a mentor, do all these things. So I knew that was my goal because I wanted to get out early, which was the big goal. And it took me many years to make those accomplishments, but I did. And I got out 3 years early. And also all this time I've been out is like time that I worked for, but it's also like time that I didn't even ever think I would get. And so, yeah, I've been out that long. And for me, it's like every day is a blessing. So I take full advantage of it and do as much as I can in a day.
Do you think there's any adverse reaction because you were in prison from society?
Yeah, it's crazy. When I first got out, I got turned down for my first 3 jobs I applied for. And people say that it's not, and it's easy to still get a job when you get out after doing prison time. A lot of people say it is, but it's still very difficult. And even now, still going through challenges because of that. But
where are you trying to apply?
So I tried to apply like just basic when I first got out at like a temp agency, right? And then some of the job.
But a temp agency is not really a job. That's a place to get you a job.
Exactly. And because of my record, I couldn't really get a job. And
I'd skip temp agencies. I'd go right to the company.
Yeah. And I didn't know, I didn't know any better getting out. I got out with $200 in my pocket. And
after 17 years, everybody's gone. You have no house. You have no car.
No, I don't have.
You don't have a cell phone. Did you even know what a cell phone is going in?
When I went in, I had a flip phone, so all that stuff was new to me. But when I got out, I still had my mom and sister. They were around in my family, and I had family out there, but I didn't have home. I didn't have a car. I didn't have anything. When you walk out of prison, all they give you is $200. And so I got out with that, and starting with that, I moved to a new city, and I moved to Los Angeles into an area just to start over, to get away from, all that old life. And, from there, I just kept going toward it. And I ended up, finding a position at a nonprofit organization. And that's where I started meeting all the other people in my life, building the relationships to help me get to where I'm at now.
What if you run into any of the OGs that are still banging?
Well, that's one of the things that, your past could always come back to haunt you, right? And one of my friends was like 60 years old. He wasn't in the gang no more, and he got killed just because he was in the neighborhood, and one of the other gangs saw him and knew who he was. And so that's always something that's a possibility. But we can get killed walking in a store. We never know. So I just got to keep living my life, and know that, and try to avoid situations, but know that, if it's your time, it's your time. I don't let that, hinder me from living my life and trying to live my best life.
That's a good one. Mm-hmm. Dude, 21 months, it feels like you just got out. Like, damn, dude, that's like nothing. That's like a freaking not even 2 years ago.
Yeah. And
so 3 years ago, dude, you were still in cuffs and orange suit.
Yeah.
Damn, dude, how's it feel to be out?
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Now, dude, some people would say, well, you just got out. How are you so reformed already?
Right.
But then I realize you could have been reformed for the last 10 years in.
Yeah. I reformed while I was in prison, in solitary confinement. That's where everything happened. When I got out of solitary confinement, I went back into general population, and, I ended up getting stabbed 2 times, and I ended up, getting out 4 years later from general population, after that. So within that time frame, I was able to transform my life and get out prepared. And it was during that process of me, working on myself, that's really how I am the reason why I am the way I am today is because I put in all the work while I was inside, and then continued when I got out. I just started to learn new things when I got out, like how to create a website, how to create social media presence, how to even start an email, like how to do everything. But I just taught myself, and asked questions and met people and made calls and just did everything I can to soak up as much knowledge as I can, and just soak up and retain as much as I can. And I still do that, and that'll never stop.
If you guys want to follow him on social media, by the way, I'm pulling up his little handle right now. Carlos S. Vasquez, motivational speaker, founder of How to Battle. Plus, you got a book, How to Battle.
Now, so I got a book. It's called The Price.
Oh, The
and
Price.
It's 5 principles for overcoming the bonds of trauma and achieving personal success. And I wrote that book, because I believe that you can achieve personal success until you're able to break the bonds of trauma, because that was the whole reason why I couldn't change my life, is because the trauma was controlling my life. The trauma was causing me to be violent. The trauma that I had dealt with, I never was able to handle it. But in solitary, I figured out what I needed to do to break those bonds. And in doing so, that's how I came up with the principles that I still use to this day. And the PRICE is an acronym, and it stands for the 5 principles. One is purpose, figuring out what your purpose is, what's your why, why do you get up in the morning? The second is, which is R, which is your routine, creating a solid routine that you stick to every day. And this is stuff I did in prison. Inspiration is the I, finding something that inspires you. For me, getting through prison, I was inspired by the people out here, by me hearing people actually get out of prison and get out and be successful. The C is for confidence, continuing to build my confidence by challenging myself, stepping out of my comfort zone. And the E is education, the importance of creating a mindset to where you're always going to be a lifelong learner, right? You're always going to look for ways to educate yourself. So I wrote the book on that, and I outlined those 5 principles in that book. And I wrote it with the youth in mind, because that's who I mentor and coach now and speak to mostly. And I felt that it was something that they can benefit from. Just things they don't teach them in school that I wanted to share with them.
Why don't you think they teach them in school?
Well, I think because it's just, a lot of the times the people that are teaching don't even understand the concepts, or don't even apply them in their own life. A lot of teachers I know, they're not living their purpose. They're not confident. They're not, they may believe that education is important, but they may not believe that you should educate yourself in all kind of areas, not just math, social studies, science, all that, but also financing and building credit and those type of things. And I think they just lack the resources. I think they lack, education system is screwed up. They say whoever figures out how to fix that is going to be the richest man in the world for a reason. It's everybody has different beliefs, and there's politics, all these things. So people like us can come in and have that influence on the youth and help them to learn these things that they can take with them when they go into the workforce and into the world, not just the school stuff that they learn, but principles and things of life, like things that they're going to need to become better in life. So
do you ever go to prisons?
Yeah. So I go back into the prisons.
Doesn't that scare you?
No, it doesn't scare me, but it reminds me of, how lucky I am.
I know, but like knowing you're leaving this time, like when you go there and you're going to leave in a couple hours, and everybody else is like still there, and doesn't like put you back there.
In a sense, it's a feeling that it bothers me, because I can't. A lot of the people that I'm there going to visit and speak to, they're people that I know. I go back to the prison that I left from.
You got any of them going, Carlos, fuck you, bro. You'll be back next fucking year.
No, but I'm sure the correctional guards probably are saying that under their breath.
Because some people would say, dude, it's only been 2 years.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
you could have a relapse. Let's just say.
Yeah,
you have a freaking a thug relapse, a gangster.
Yeah, it's possible. Hey, it's possible for some. I think that.
Were you doing drugs, by the way?
Yeah, I used to do drugs.
You don't do drugs now, I bet.
No, I do drugs now. I used to do drugs.
Well, if you do drugs now, you might end up fucking back in the old pokey.
Yeah, which
drugs lead nowhere.
No,
ladies and gentlemen, you heard it first from Brad Lee.
Yeah.
People always ask my advice for things. They never ask my advice about drugs. My advice on drugs is don't do them. You know why?
Yeah.
They're never going to end well, ever.
Right.
You use drugs, you're going to crash permanently if you don't stop. So like if someone says anything about drugs to me, I'm not talking about recreational this and that. I've done coke, I've done meth, I've done mushrooms, I've done acid. I've never shot up anything, but I've smoked it or snorted it. But that doesn't make me a druggie. I'm talking about a druggie. You do drugs on a regular basis, dude. You're going to crash.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't do them.
Yeah. Listen.
And you were on them, yes?
Yeah. I was on them.
But now you were not.
No, I'm not. And a lot of the reason why I ended up in prison is because I was on them. So I got on them at an early age.
I know, but usually I'd trust you more if you said, oh, it's been 21 years. And I would think, oh, that's the old him. Like he's lived a whole life now, sober and clean and nice. And non-criminalistic,
Yeah.
but you've only had 21 months at it.
Yeah,
You
like
could relapse, people would say. What do you say to them?
You know, people would say that, but I think, you know, and hey, they could believe that, but you know, and that's actually very reasonable because a lot of people
don't fuck around
right?
and make me get my third strike.
Right. And exactly. Don't make me get my third strike, and don't make me go down that path again. I don't want to.
Dude, not only that, but your third strike, you're California.
Yeah.
Third strike, you're out.
Yeah.
Are you on a third strike?
Yeah.
Ooh, dude, you definitely ain't doing shit now.
Yeah.
See, that's the whole thing, man. Third strike, I like the rule. It's a little harsh because people get caught up in that when it's not fair. But at the end of the day, if you got, an evil, mean, criminalistic character who does one and then does two and then still doesn't fucking learn and does three, I'm talking about like mean, bad shit, society shit we don't want. That they should be out forever.
Yeah.
The problem is that rule, third strike, it gets people that like it wasn't intended to get. And then it's totally unfair, that third strike rule.
Yeah. And they luckily they've changed it to where now it has to be a violent third strike, not just stealing from the store, how it used to be, where they would give you life.
Is it 3 violent strikes or 1 violent, but it's the third one?
Yeah. So 3 violent, or serious, violent or serious. And
see, I like that rule.
Violent or
what
serious.
do you think of that rule?
I agree with it. I agree with it. I saw when they were doing it the other way, when people were in there doing life for like stealing from the store, they would get life.
Because they were hungry or their daughter was hungry.
Exactly. I saw people in there have life for that. And a lot of them did many, many years. But now the way it is where they all, like the last one has to be something violent or serious, which, I agree with that. I think that, if you do 3 serious or violent things back to back to back, then it's like, yeah, you're not fit for society. And I wouldn't want that person to be my neighbor, So I look at it like that too. Like just because I've been to prison doesn't mean I defend all prisoners. I know there's people that don't need to be out of prison. Trust me, I've seen them. I would never want that person to be out in society around people that I love, around people that you love. So I think that it does have its place, that rule.
Yeah, I think, number one, you learned your lesson, but number two, I'll bet you just like deep down, you never really wanted to be a criminal type in the first place. You just got caught up in it.
Just got caught up. Like literally, I grew up, going to Catholic school. I was getting straight A's. I played baseball all the way up till 12. I lived in, we lived in the suburbs in a good neighborhood. But one thing, my dad leaving changed everything.
What did he leave for? Just fighting with your mom?
He left because he found somebody else and, didn't want to be with my mom anymore. And there's probably so much more involved in that, but I've just never found out, never asked. But
there's always 2 sides. But dude, if he left kids behind, you and your sister,
yeah,
that's kind of rude. It like left you behind where he didn't talk to you anymore, or just gone?
Yeah, I mean, from what I heard, he tried to reach out and try to build a relationship, but I don't know if my mother was like, nope, and then at some point he just like, okay, well, I'm done trying. Like you said, there's 2 sides to it, and I think that's a conversation that I really need to have with both of them someday, to really find that out. And I do want to know. That's one of the things I want to do. But such a sensitive thing now, especially since I'm like rebuilding the relationship with them now. Like, my mother and I'm now my father is like just trying to, mend what was lost and forgiving them because I know they're different people today, just like I am. So eventually, I'll find out. But yeah.
So it's safe to say you're not together on Christmases.
Not really. Not all of us together.
So just getting out, you can't have a big family yourself because like you went in when you were how old?
I went in when I was 19.
Okay. So at 19, did you have kids already by then?
No, because before going in, I went in a few times before that, in and out, juvenile hall, went to jail a few times. So I was in and out a lot. And then I ended up going to prison at 19. Didn't have time to
Did you have a girl?
Yeah, I had a girl. I had like one.
She didn't stick with you?
No, she didn't stick with me, as you could imagine.
17 years? I thought she must not have been a down-ass girl.
No, she wasn't. And we were young. We were teenagers. And as soon as she heard me get sentenced to all that time, it was like, yeah, see you later.
But see you later, Carlos.
Yeah, see you later. And, everybody, pretty much everybody in my life at that time, I knew so many people. After so many years, everybody fell off. And so that's why now the person I am today, I'm re-establishing relationships with completely different people. Because
How important do you think that is?
It's huge. It's everything. Like Without the people that I've met and the people that I know, I wouldn't be here. Who knows? Maybe I would have relapsed. Maybe I would be going back if I didn't have those people, right? Those connections and amazing people that, I feel that have played a huge role into where I'm at now, and where I'm going.
Where are you going?
So I'm going to become successful, and what I mean by that is I'm finished the last part of what I feel true freedom is. So there's mental freedom, which I found when I was locked up. There's physical freedom, which I got almost 2 years ago when I was released, and then there's financial freedom. And I believe when you have all three, that's true freedom, and that's all I want. That's what I'm trying to create and build, because when I was in prison all those years, I always thought all I want to do is be free completely. And so that's the last part of it for me. And so that's where I'm going. I'm going to a place of financial freedom where I could do what I want, go where I want, buy what I want, do whatever I want, and have the freedom to take care of people that I love, to help people. And so that's where I'm going.
And you're going to do it through an avenue of speaking.
Mm-hmm. So I'm doing it through, speaking, motivational speaking. I'm doing it through building my company up.
What company?
How to Battle, which is
How to Battle LLC.
Yeah.
So what's How to Battle?
Yeah, How to Battle. Well, first, the name. A lot of people ask me how I got that name. Well, when I first got out, everything that I did to learn was how to. So I started going on YouTube, how to do everything. Like I said, how to create an email, starting from there, how to create a website, did everything. So I sat back and I thought about, what do I want to do? What do I ultimately want to accomplish now that I'm free? And I know that I wanted to help people. I know that I wanted to serve people, and I knew what my strengths were, and I knew one of my strengths was leadership. And one of my strengths was my ability to communicate with people and to inspire people and to give people hope, because these are the things that people were telling me I was doing for them. And so I decided to create a business to where, I provide coaching and consulting to individuals, but also organizations like nonprofits and other organizations that were founded to help serve people that they ultimately don't understand. Meaning, like, a lot of organizations may be built to help the homeless, to help troubled youth, to help drug addicts. But a lot of people that found these companies, they've never lived that life. They've never been in those trenches. And so what I come in as a consultant and help them understand better who those people are. And so How to Battle is to help people and individuals overcome and win the battles they undertake, whether it's mental, whether it's things going on within their business, whether it's drug addiction, whether it's confidence. That's what I do. And so, my plan is to build that up.
That's a bomb right there.
There it is.
Dude, sounds like a hell of a plan. Folks, by the way, his website, howtobattle.com. Mm-hmm. Instagram is at howtobattle. You guys can find him all over. He's got stories and shit written on you. Carlos Vasquez, speaker, mentor, coach. So who would be like your ideal candidate? You said you talked to the youth. So who you're teaching How to Battle, what's the ideal?
Yeah, so I've been working with, like, for instance, a university, like LMU for one. I go in there and I speak to the psychology department, because they're going to go out and serve, the youth and people who are dealing with mental issues. So I consult to them.
What do you say to them when you go in there? Just your story, or? Yeah,
so I basically tell them my story, and then within that, I identify things that worked for me. So if a person is a psychologist and they're going to serve somebody who's dealt with a lot of trauma, I tell them what worked for me, what I've seen works, and then I do a Q&A to where, because they have a ton of questions, and then I'm able to give them feedback on that. And then also I talk about the 5 principles that are outlined in my book, how to start helping other people develop that,
The price?
Yeah. So I work with them on that.
I like that.
Yeah. And
like, pay the price.
Yeah. And, everything has a price in life. And, even overcoming trauma and building success comes at a price, and that may be sacrifice, that may be discipline, that may be change of mindset, change of friends, whatever it is. And so that's what the price is. And so I teach around those concepts. I go teach at schools to mainly like 11th, 12th graders that are getting ready to go into college, ready to go into the workforce. Some are going to be entrepreneurs. I work with them, and I go into prisons and I work with them as well. So I'm consulting and coaching and mentoring in all those areas. And, the goal to scale is to be able to hire people to come work with me in my company that have actually been through that shit. Like, not people who fucking think they know, everything and never been through anything, but the actual people who've been through that struggle. An actual addict who overcame it and is successful now can go in and speak to addicts who are trying to get out of that and become successful. And so that's how we do it. We go to battle on all those fronts.
So someone wrote on here that your book was called How to Battle. What's the book called?
The book is called The Price.
The Price. Where can people get that?
Price. It's on Amazon. They can go through my website, through my Instagram. There's a link, my link tree. It leads to my book. It's just like a few days ago, I met two different people at two different schools who are going to buy sets for their classes. So it's going to be in all kind of it's going to be in all kind of schools, given to the students, taught out of. And I intended my target audience for this book was them. Not to say that everybody can benefit from it, but like anything, when you start something, you have a target audience who you're going after, and it was them, those kids. And so now they're starting to buy them in bulk for the schools, which was my ultimate goal for this book. But more books will come. I want to, outsource my wisdom and knowledge, experiences, all those things that I have within me that I want to share. That's what I'm going to be doing too as I continue to grow and speak, man, because speaking is like my heart, my passion. For so long, I never said anything. When I was a kid, I was that kid in school who was afraid to raise his hand. I kept everything in. So now that I found my confidence and I found myself, I love to be able to share, inspire, and motivate. And so I'm always looking for opportunities to speak publicly, and which I do. I've gotten a lot of great opportunities, and I'm just going to keep growing on that area too.
Beauty.
Yeah.
Beauty. Dude, it's almost like everybody wants to root for you.
You know what? It's funny you said, because I feel that way. I feel like everybody wants to root for me, and that's why I made such great friends and connections with people. One of my mentors is well, two of my mentors are both highly successful in what they do, and they literally just saw me speaking, and they were like, hey, introduce me. I introduced them, followed up, and now we've been building relationships. That's why I met a few of the people you've had on this podcast, because I feel like you said, people see something in me, and I don't know what it is, because I may not see it in myself really, but all I know is that I've had this renewed way of looking at life, and I think that people feel that because I have passion, and I'm I'm a man of my word, and I'm committed, and I'm disciplined, and all these things that are so rare nowadays to find. And so maybe that's what it is.
Well, good.
Yeah.
Well, dude, I'll be keeping an eye on you. Maybe
Sure.
In a year or two, we can bring you back and watch you blow up. I know a bomb squad's going to love you.
Yeah.
Go out and follow this dude. Give him some support. Send him a DM or two. Let him know the bomb squad sends the love. Right. Go buy his book. And by the way, if you like, hey, I can relate to this dude and I'm in some trouble, dude, reach out.
Yeah.
Like freaking, he can teach you some shit. You've navigated quite a bit, bro.
Yeah. Yeah. Reach out. That's my mission. So.
All right, folks. And as always, until next time, keep it real.
If I try to emulate Jesus, even though I can never get to that point, but I try to emulate him, I'm going to be a better husband. I'm going to be a better father. If I'm in business, I'm going to treat my employees the right way. If I'm an employee, I'm going to give my boss an honest day's pay, an honest day's work, rather. Everybody in the community is going to benefit from me emulating the greatest man that ever walked the face of the earth.